Welcome to TradeTheNBA.com. This is John Sports for the 10th of June. And, well, this is kind of the move that we got yesterday that I was expecting. Once we started to break down here, looks like they held on to it for a little bit, but then it started to escalate. And that's that fate of short-term buyers as well as mid-term buyers here in the green DOC. And, well, dipping close to that negative 13.5, which would be strong weakness. Dip below the red line, so all negatives, but we're right at that key support level here at 23%. 4,003 range, so clearly I would expect a much stronger move lower. If we break below that, that would become a key point, so we're a little ways away from that. But still, continued decline from magenta, and if white moves above magenta here, then I think you can expect to see a move towards that 0% pretty quick. NQ, likewise, even closer to that crossover point. And from a DOC standpoint, when I look at the cyan, if it gets above 7.5, then I would be concerned that their ability of shorts to really drive anything further on that. But then it becomes a question, are there buyers who want action at this particular point to drive things back up, or if they're really in a holding pattern, wait and see. And from a euro standpoint, of course, we knew that the ECB wasn't going to come out with anything that was positive for that, and you can see the decline setup going through there. And again, that was significant to move all the way up to that 50% break below 38, so clearly heading towards that 23%. The realities in the EU setup are just becoming more and more apparent as the sanctions, oil, continue to rise. Gold still being held down quite a bit, which is unusual given what we're seeing, because CPI, all those things are going to continue to rise out of control with oil at these levels. So, of course, really aren't many options other than dollar at this particular stage, given the restrictions that have been placed on a lot of different things. So it really becomes just an ugly situation. And as we continue to watch the numbers in the U.S., if the Fed continues to believe that, based on their new reading of data, that things are still perfect and rosy, then there isn't going to be any loosening. And even if there was, I don't know that they're going to really be that interested in doing anything about it, because the greatest debt, reduction is a devaluation in the currency over time, and with higher inflation, you certainly do that. So it certainly makes up for a lot of the extra spending if you do it for a few years. The question is politically whether that will be tenable or not. It's a whole separate category. We're already down, dipped all the way to the 113 range for TLT, which is U.S. Treasuries, and if that yield continues to rise, again, it becomes more attractive and draws money out of the market as well. So we're literally looking to see if that breaks that low. That does, I think that creates a whole new range lower. And of course, the bond market has led all of that. From Bitcoin standpoint, still back and forth, but again, I just don't see that it's got any impetus to drive, because it's been pretty much mimicking the NASDAQ and that pretty regularly. Here was the drop-off that really became precipitous as the day grew on. It really became apparent as we started to break down from the NBI readings. And again, I always look for this, and it's an interesting topic we were talking about, because it's something I've mentioned before, that even in middle runs, when you get those breakdowns below the 25 for the NBI magenta, usually expresses weakness pretty clearly. Even with the white declining in that, we still moved down towards the zero on that. And then when it pivoted again, and that became the cascade that really drove things straight down. So that was pretty clean from that standpoint. Again, not really seeing any major support here in the post market at this particular stage. So I think we're just going to get a little more back and forth, but still the bias has to be to the downside. And again, just watching for those liftoffs, and it's going to be pretty easy to see from a 5K standpoint in that, and whether or not volumes maintain, particularly in moving to the September contracts, things like that, you always get a little bit of back and forth as people have to transition in that, and usually that takes place over the previous week plus, but it starts to pick up momentum as you get to the end. As always, though, I'll continue to update you on the Skype chat. Trade well. We'll talk to you later.